So, this came across my timeline while trying to prepare topics for today's show. I was scrolling through after the Canucks and Blue Jackets game, saying to myself, okay, what topics are there that we can cover? What ideas are there to explore? And you know how it goes, man. Fever dream high in the quiet of the night. You know that I caught it because I saw this idea pop up on my timeline. And I was like, wait a minute. Oh boy. No, we're not talking about the fact that there was an umbrella ban at BC Place last night and a lot of Taylor Swift fans had to go home in the rain because we have ourselves a rain warning. But it's this article that I stumbled across on CanucksDaily.com that spoke out about a comment made by Rick Dhaliwal on the recent Donnie and Dolly from Thursday. Take a look at this article. The Vancouver Canucks are interested in playing the sweepstakes for New York Rangers Chris Kreider. Oh boy. Okay, that's a lot to take in all at once because, of course, when we talk about Chris Kreider, we have to really establish what it is that we're discussing here. He's a pretty notable name. Chris Kreider is 33 years old, 6'3", 229 left-handed guy signed on till the end of 2027, making $6.5 million a year. For the majority of Kreider's career with the New York Rangers, he was a 20 to 25 goal, 50-point guy, and that kind of established itself as the norm for Kreider up until 2021-2022, where out of nowhere he went from being a 28, 24, 20-goal scorer all the way to being a 50-goal scorer. And he had 77 points in 81 games. He had 52 goals and only 25 assists. He was a goal-scoring machine. He was kind of like Zach Hyman before Zach Hyman was Zach Hyman. And he also followed that up with some pretty strong playoff production in that season as well as the upcoming years. Chris Kreider was never able to replicate that 50-goal season, but he was still a point-per-game, near point-per-game-ish playoff caliber producer. There was the one playoff run in 22-23 where he had 9 points in 7 games. And last season, Chris Kreider scored himself 75 points in 82 games, 39 goals, 36 assists, nearly besting his career high in points. This year, though, Kreider's in a pretty weird spot. Because in 22 games so far, Kreider has 10 goals and only 1 assist. He's on pace for 40 points on the season, and 36 of them are projected to be in goals. In fact, the 1 assist that he has gotten came in the most recent game yesterday against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So before yesterday's Pittsburgh game, Kreider was legitimately at 10 goals and 0 assists. Like, how do you even do that? I get that Chris Kreider is a body, he's a power forward guy, he's a big dude, he has that net front presence. It's what's made him so effective at putting the puck in the back of the net the past few years. Of course, having Artemi Panarin dishing you the puck also helps, but on a team which boasts the likes of a 5-goal-in-a-game scorer like Mika Zibanejad, you have Artemi Panarin, who's good for 35 to 40 goals a year himself. Chris Kreider brings a very particular style of goal scoring to the New York Rangers, and I don't think anybody's going to go out there and say that he's not a valuable part of this team. Sure, is he a necessary part of the team? That's another question. Like, you talk about what he could bring long-term, you talk about the availability, the fact that he was in trade talks already, which bleeds nicely into our commentary topic for this video, but Chris Kreider has been an effective player the past little while. It's just thinking about him being on the market gets everybody's ears percolated up because everybody's got that reputation of Chris Kreider saying, oh yeah, I mean, is he really a 50-goal caliber player or he is just a guy who happened to get 50 goals once? You know, there's a little bit of a difference there. Maybe not literally, but reputation-wise, you can definitely say that. And so we're going over onto this article on CanucksDaily.com. It'll be linked in the description. The Vancouver Canucks front office are constantly looking for opportunities to improve their team, so it's no surprise to hear they've been involved in talks with the Rangers as the team seeks a considerable shakeup. Canucks insider Rick Dhaliwal says that in particular, Vancouver has shown interest in making a trade for the longest-tenured Ranger, Chris Kreider. On Thursday's Donnie and Dolly show, Dhaliwal says he doesn't believe the conversation got very far due to Kreider's no-trade clause. Someone told me the Vancouver Canucks called the Rangers about Chris Kreider, but my guess is Vancouver is probably on Kreider's no-trade list. He's got a healthy one, I think, 15 teams. The Rangers sent out feelers that Kreider and Trouba were available, so every team called, including the Canucks. And here's the thing. When I think about Chris Kreider and I think about his profile, what it is that he brings, the kind of player that he is, ultimately, if you were to bring Chris Kreider onto the Vancouver Canucks right now, let's just say you cut and paste Kreider onto Vancouver. Salary be damned, roster subtractions be damned, let's just copy and paste Kreider to the Canucks. Is he a better goal scorer than a Nils Höglander, for example, another left wing? Yeah, I'd say so. I'd rather have Chris Kreider on my team than Höglander. But if you want to talk about top 6 fits, Chris Kreider ultimately brings the same elements to the game as I would say Jake DeBrusk kind of does, right? I mean, solid frame, capable of playing in front of the net. He is maybe more of an immovable object than Jake DeBrusk could be. I think DeBrusk has the potential to maybe get shoved around a little bit more than Kreider, but I think that's more so a testament to Kreider's durability in the crease there. It's what allowed him to get 50 goals anyway, all those years ago. Not to mention the fact that Kreider is good at positioning himself in surrounding perimeter areas. He is good at finding open lanes, and I mean, it's why he was able to score so many goals, because he can score in stride, he can score on the rush, he doesn't always have to score from the net front, which I guess is a little bit similar to Jake DeBrusk too, right? Ultimately, what you want out of Jakey D, Chris Kreider brings in spades as well, just with a lot more experience and a legitimate 50-goal season under his belt, plus 2 70-point seasons. Not to say that he is necessarily better than Jake DeBrusk, but I think if you want to talk about the value that experience brings to the table, there certainly would be a connection there that makes sense. It's just, to me, there are already so many Vancouver Canucks forwards that exist on this team. You would have to do something to shake the roster up to allow that spot to be freed up in the first place. I mean, Höglander for Kreider, okay, you think about it like that. Do you have Chris Kreider as a third-line left wing? Do you put him with the JT Miller-Brock Besser line and you demote a guy like Pius Suter? Actually, no, that sounds like exactly what you should do. Yeah, no, never mind. Keep things the same way they have been. Have Elias Pettersson with Jake DeBrusk and, I guess, Connor Garland. Have Miller with Besser and Chris Kreider, an all-American, American triple threat line. Then you move Dakota Joshua down to the third line with Pius Suter and Kiefer Sherwood, and then you have Sasson, Ratu, Heinen, and everybody else rounding out the bottom of the lineup. Honestly, that looks like a great lineup in my opinion, especially when you consider what it is Dakota Joshua could bring on the third line if him and Sherwood are able to get going with some chemistry. But ultimately, Chris Kreider having that sort of an impact, oh yeah, I like that a lot. Even if you wanted to move things around, have Joshua and Garland reunited, for example, and have DeBrusk with Pettersson and Sherwood. Okay, that's a line that's proven to have worked in the past already. Just having Kreider with Miller and Besser, ooh, I love the sound of that. Although it is a ridiculous idea, I mean, Dhaliwal says the Canucks just checked in after all. He does also say that he doesn't think that Kreider would actually accept a trade to Vancouver, considering the trade protection that he does have. We have seen the New York Rangers use trade protection as leverage against their own players. That literally happened with the Jacob Trouba situation. I mean, they wanted to kick the guy out, but he's like, no, I have trade protection. And then they were like, okay, if you don't waive, we're going to send you down on waivers, buddy, and you're going to get claimed and you're going to go wherever. And then he was like, okay, I'll waive. So maybe if there really is some sort of an issue with no trade protection and where it is that Kreider would accept a trade to, if there really is a big issue with that, then maybe the Rangers would have found a way to get it done by now. But the fact that he's still in New York and there isn't really any other rumblings about the Canucks and Kreider, aside from what Rick Dhaliwal ended up saying, I think it really just bleeds into the fact that this isn't really a story that's going to go anywhere. And for me personally, I just wanted to use this video as an opportunity to talk about it, because I do find it very, very interesting that Chris Kreider may have been on the Vancouver Canucks radar. I mean, we had seen rumors about JT Miller being asked for by the Rangers. Maybe that was in response, like, hey, the Rangers called Vancouver. What are your thoughts on Miller? Do you want to trade him? How does that sound? And then Patrik Allvin replies saying, okay, no, we don't want to trade Miller, but what about you? Do you want to trade Kreider? And then the Rangers might have been like, yeah, and then they would have talked about it then, because they had already revealed that they wanted to trade these guys away. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Canucks going after Chris Kreider. Do you think this is actually a good idea? Let me know in the comment section below your opinions about this. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.